Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to Card Making Project 559. Today we're going to make a gorgeous Christmas card and we're going to use a few older items from our Anna Griffin supplies as well as a couple of newer ones. And I say newer, I mean earlier this year or even late last year. So they're kind of still older items. However, they all work together, which is quite surprising because one of the items you would not put down as being a Christmas item, and I think this is where versatility really kicks in. Now, one of the items used hasn't been available in the UK. I was lucky enough to get it last year when I went to the States. You would be able to substitute it for different things in your stash, and I'm sure you would be able to use, I don't know, something like the all square die, or something like the lace edge square dies, something that you would use as a background, and it would work equally as well. Everything I do use I should put in a detailed list on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. There's also lots of photos of the tutorials as well, both of the inside and the outside of the finished card. Please say hello on Facebook. You can always comment on YouTube. Please give me the thumbs up on YouTube. You can always find me on Twitter and my personal favourite, Instagram, because I'm really nosy and I enjoy looking at all your creations. So come along, follow me so I can follow you back. And if I haven't followed you back already, give me a poke or a nudge and tell me, because I am that nosy and I do want to see what you're making. At the end of the video, you're going to see my head pop up here, and that's for anyone that's not subscribed yet. Now, if you subscribe, you'll receive notifications of when new videos are available, and it would be great to have you on board, and you'd never miss anything. So, you know, it's a win-win situation. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and let's have a look at today's gorgeous Christmas card. For today's tutorial, we're going to be using the Baubles and Bells embossing folder set from Anna Griffin. We're going to be using Scattered Holly. Now, if for any reason you don't have this because it's an older set, you would be able to substitute it with any of your Christmas foliage embossing folders that you might have, because it's something just to give an embossed texture. Now, I know so many people write to me about different ideas to use with your embossing folders. Today's has got a great idea for using them. So whatever embossing folder you want to use, you use it. Next, we're also going to be using the Anna Griffin Christmas Wrap rubber stamps. Now, we're going to be using this stamp in particular, and it says Merry and Bright on it. It's a little tag shape. If for any reason you don't have this set because it is an older item, you could always die cut a tag and then stamp it with a sentiment of your choice from your stash and then use that. Now, we're also going to be using the Anna Griffin Tassels die set, and I appreciate for my friends at this side of the pond, we haven't had this set, so it has only been available across the pond. I was lucky enough to get this when I went over to the States. So it's kind of like if you want to substitute this with any of your fretwork dies, I would say they work. Anything that's got two layers, because we're going to be using this particular die here. Mine's only upside down so it fits on my sheet. And we're going to use both the inside, the shadow layer, and I always say then the outside. So we're using the ornate layer and the shadow layer from the Tassel set. So it's the large one that looks like a large circus top. I know that sounds terrible, but it's like the large pelmet of the flow of the tent. So no disrespect intended there, but it's just how it looks to me. So those are the items that we're going to use. This card is very different and I think it's got a great idea for embossing. We're starting off with our base card, which is a square 6 by 6 inch card. And I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that I've got a nice sharp edge along the side of the card. I've already stamped it on the back and added my name and the project number just to save me getting confused, so that I know what project it is. And we're going to use it with the edge to the top. And we're going to start with the inside first. Now this is the first of our ideas for embossing folders. I've used a sheet of the Perfect Palette cardstock from Anna Griffin in like a deep red. I've embossed it using the Scattered Holly embossing folder, and then I've rubbed an ink pad over it. Not, shall we say, carefully. So I've just rubbed it all over, and then I've added silver embossing powder, so that where I haven't rubbed it on perfectly, we can still see the red underneath. And then the silver embossing powder has gone into the embossed detail and the flat detail, but it's left, I'm going to say, areas of interest. So it's kind of like a two-tone. And I just think that looks really cool. Then I've die cut a square out of the centre to make an aperture. I've got flat tape on the back of this, which I can peel away, and then we can add this to the centre of our card. There we go. And then that will sit perfectly in the middle. I've left the embossing as embossing. I've not flattened it down. I'm not worried about having the extra height on the card. It just makes it look very different, and it's like molten metal the way that it's looking. Now for the centre, I've used icy blue cardstock from the matte foil cardstock from Anna Griffin, and I've die cut a square that is the same square as the centre of the embossed layer that we've just added. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and that will fit perfectly into the aperture, so then it's smooth. I know it's embossed, but it's smooth as we run our fingers along it. There isn't the aperture there now. Our next layer is just a square of ivory cardstock, and that's going to go in the centre, and that's your panel that you'll be able to write your little message on for Christmas. And I say a little message because we're not going to have room for an essay or a life story, so it's just going to be simple to and from. Now the next part for the inside, with some of the stickers that you can get, I look at them and I always think, what else can I do with them? I don't think my brain works like everybody else. And in the actual favourite sentiment embellishment stickers, there's some gorgeous baubles, and they had 2 layers together. I've taken them apart, and so this is the top section, and I've peeled it away. I've cut the lower bauble section away, and so I'm left with some holly. And I think this holly is just so pretty. Now at the same time, I've stamped and cut out our little tag that says Merry and Bright from our gift wrap stamps. And I want to position the holly and the tag into my card. And I'm thinking roughly, I would say about there. I think that will look good. And then I can press them down. And that's our insert sentiment, Merry and Bright. We've got our little panel to write on, and our gorgeous foliage, our holly and the bow to one side. That's going to go perfectly with the outside, which we can now turn our attention to. So I'm going to use my bone folder just to make sure that's a nice sharp score. And the first layer for the outside of our card it's the icy blue foil cardstock from Anna. I've cut it to about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the actual card. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I've also taken the centre of it away because I want to be economical with my cardstock, and I can use that for something else. It isn't going to matter on this card. You're not going to see the fact that I've cut out the centre. It really isn't going to make any difference at all. So I can press that down, and that's our first layer. Our next layer is I've cut again from the Christmas palette collection of cardstock from Anna Griffin. I've cut out a square that will sit as a layer over our previous layer. It's big enough to cover the aperture, and I've embossed it using our Scattered Holly embossing folder, and then I've heat embossed it. I've put clear ink over it, and I've used an opal silver embossing powder, and it just gives it that, you know, the shine, and it picks out the embossing so perfectly. If you don't have the opal embossing powder, silver would work, clear would work. You could use a coloured ink, you could use a silver ink with then a clear embossing powder. You could use anything you have in your stash that will give you the effect, if it's heat embossing powder, onto an embossed surface. There we go. And it just makes it look so different than just embossing a piece of cardstock. It kind of brings it even more to life. So I've got flat tape on the back of it. Now, because we've got the aperture on the bottom, and this is an embossed layer, the embossed layer will not show that we've got a dip on the front, so you won't know that that's been cut out. So I can place the embossed layer over the previous layer like that. There we go, and press it down. Next, we're going to add the base of our tassel die. So I've cut the tassel in the icy blue and the shadow layer in the red from the Christmas palette from Anna. The red is on flat tape, and I'm just going to position it towards the bottom of our card, and the bottom of the tassels are hanging over the edge of our layers at the bottom there. So I can press that down, and then our next layer is the actual tassel section, and I've embossed it. I've got 3D foam on the back of it, and I can position this over the shadow layer like that. Now, I think at this point, that is, even though the embossing folder, you could swap that to all occasion, that is the perfect base for any card. We're doing a Christmas card, so we've got the Scattered Holly underneath it. But at this point, you could substitute that, and then you could go all occasion. We're going to go Christmas. Now, I've got some stickers that were from the favourite embellishment stickers, and they were the holly, the holly embellishments. Sorry, I really am losing my words today. On the back of them, instead of using them as stickers, I'm using them as stickers with 3D foam on the back. And I'm going to add one to one corner at the top over the tassel, and then I'm going to use the second one at the top in the corner, and it's going to go to the middle of the tassel. There we go. Now I'm also going to add a sentiment from the favourite Christmas sentiment stickers. Now on the back of this I've got 3D foam, I've got a double layer in the centre and single layers to the edge, because this is going to sit in the middle of our tassel and I want it to have depth, and I want the shadow effect that it gives from the layers. There we go, press it down. Next I have another of the holly stickers, and this again is on 3D foam, and it's going to sit just at the bottom underneath our Christmas sentiment and over the edges of the tassels. And then I'm going to finish the card off with a little bow at the top between where the holly crosses over, like that. And that is our card finished. And that just looks so pretty, both the inside and the out, with those embossed layers. Stands up perfectly. You can see the layers to the side. I think that would fit in a normal envelope because there's not too many layers, and it just depends on the size of your 3D foam and the depth of it. But I just love the colours, and I think it just works. And remember, it's actually the ice blue that I've used. The silver is from the actual embossing, and it just all goes together so perfectly. Please check the blog because there will be many more photos of both the inside and the outside of this card. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.